I proposed to my girlfriend of 4 years on a quiet beach at sunset. She said yes and kissed me like she meant it. 3 days later, I found out she'd been sleeping with her boss for 6 months. And here's the real kicker. She still wanted us to work through it. We'd been dating since college, moved in together after 2 years. She's 26, works in marketing, super ambitious, always the first in the office, last to leave, constantly talking about her big pitch or team drinks, or how her boss relies on her. I didn't mind. I was proud of her. I'm a software engineer, bit more introverted, not flashy, but stable, supportive. We'd built something solid, or so I thought. The proposal was simple, a rented Airbnb near the coast, just the two of us. I'd planned it for months. The moment I slid that ring on her finger, she cried, told me I was her home, her forever. But just 72 hours later, everything shattered. It started with a notification. She was in the shower. Her phone lit up. I wasn't snooping. It was just right there. A name I didn't recognize. Can't stop thinking about last night. The way you whispered my name. My heart stopped. I opened the thread. There were hundreds of messages, pictures, inside jokes, dates I recognized, days she'd told me she was working late, business trips I now realized were anything but. Her boss, Nathan, the man I'd met twice, shook hands with, who once told me I was lucky to have a woman like her. I didn't scream, didn't throw the phone. I took screenshots, dozens of them, sent them to my own email. She came out of the shower, smiling, wrapped in a towel, humming. I just looked at her and asked, "Who's Nathan?" Her face drained. Then she lied. She didn't deny it. She sat down on the edge of the bed, the towel clutched around her chest, and said softly, "I was going to tell you." I swear I asked her when. She stared at the floor for a long time and whispered, "After the honeymoon." That hit me harder than the betrayal itself. She had planned to marry me, lie through the vows, and then, what? Leave me months later? Keep up the illusion? Or worse, keep both of us. When I asked her why him? Why now? She gave me a monologue that felt rehearsed. "He sees me," she said. "He challenges me. He makes me feel like I'm not invisible." I asked, "So what am I? Furniture?" She flinched but didn't answer. I started packing. My laptop, my chargers, my passport. I didn't even know where I was going, just that I couldn't stay. And that's when she dropped the second bomb. "I want to fix this," she said. "I don't want to lose you." I laughed, couldn't help it. "Fix it? You've been cheating on me for 6 months." "I know, but what if we tried something different, like an open relationship, for a while? Just until I figure things out." I just stood there, blinking. "You want to marry me?" I said, "while still sleeping with your boss?" She looked so serious, like she genuinely believed this was a solution, like I was the one being unreasonable. "I know it's crazy," she said, "but relationships evolve. Maybe this is what growth looks like." I told her to stop watching TED Talks, but she kept going. Told me she still loved me. That sex with Nathan was just a phase, that she didn't want to choose. And then, the third twist. Turns out Nathan's married, with 2 kids. And my now fiancée was the other woman in his life. But to me, she was supposed to be the main character. I asked her if she'd ever thought about his wife, his children, what she was doing to them. She said, "That's not my business. I just want to be happy." And suddenly everything clicked. This wasn't about me, or Nathan, or love. This was about her, her happiness, her needs, her desires. The rest of us? Collateral. That night, I didn't sleep. I drove to my brother's place, told him everything. He didn't say much, just handed me a spare key, poured 2 whiskeys, and sat beside me while I stared at the wall. I thought about the proposal, the beach, her tears. And I realized they weren't for us. They were for the version of her life she wanted people to see. The Instagram version, the Pinterest board, The perfect fiancé with a techie boyfriend and a secret affair on the side. She didn't want love. She wanted options. I hadn't planned to confront him. Honestly, I just wanted to disappear. Let them burn their lives down without my help. But the universe had other plans. 2 days after I moved into my brother's place, I got a message request on Facebook from someone I didn't recognize. Her name was Lindsay. I almost deleted it until I read the first sentence. "Hi, I think my husband is sleeping with your fiancé." I froze. Lindsay, Nathan's wife. She'd found a text on his old iPad, a conversation so explicit she'd needed 2 glasses of wine just to finish reading it. She searched my name, found photos of me and her husband's mistress, then found our engagement post. "I'm sorry," she wrote. "I didn't know who else to talk to." So we met. Neutral territory, a cafe halfway between both our homes. She looked tired, not like someone who hadn't slept, but like someone who'd stopped trying to. She slid her phone across the table and said, "Read it." The texts were worse than I imagined. Not just sex, not just secrets, plans. Plans to ditch their deadweight, plans to escape together after the holidays. And this line from my fiancé, "He won't leave. I'll just wait until he gives up." I felt like throwing up. This wasn't cheating, it was betrayal wrapped in patience. Lindsay had 2 kids under 10. She worked part-time at a local bakery. She was sweet, quiet. Everything my fiancé had mocked in private, calling her a suburban cliché. But sitting across from me, Lindsay wasn't weak. She was angry, cold fire in her eyes. "I want you to help me ruin them," she said calmly, like she was asking for a ride to the store. I didn't know what to say, because I did want revenge, but I also didn't want to become them. So I told her I'd think about it. She nodded, slipped me a folder. Inside were screenshots, photos, receipts. One of them showed Nathan using the company card to book a hotel for him and my fiancé. "He's been writing these off as client dinners," she said. "Want to guess which client?" My jaw clenched. That's when the next domino fell. Later that night, I got a text from Maya, my fiancé's best friend. "Hey, I need to tell you something, and I don't want to do it over text." We met in a park the next morning. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't waste time. "She told me not to say anything," Maya said. "She said you'd freak out and ruin everything, but I didn't think it would go this far." Maya had known about the affair for months. She'd babysat the lie, helped cover for girl nights that were really hotel rendezvous. Even lied to Lindsay once, answering my fiancé's phone and saying it was a work emergency. "She manipulated me too," Maya said. "I thought she just needed time to figure things out. But this is nuclear." And just when I thought the well of betrayal had run dry, she showed me a message thread between my fiancé and another guy. Not Nathan. Someone else. She'd been messaging a third man. Flirty texts, emojis. If I were single, vibes. I laughed. Or maybe it was a sob. It was hard to tell at that point. What even was this anymore? Not a love story, not a breakup, more like a demolition. Slow, cruel, and spectacular. I stared at the screenshots again that night, the ones Maya gave me. Her messages to Nathan, her messages to someone else. And it hit me like a freight train. She didn't want a new life. She wanted options. This wasn't about love or even lust. It was about power. About keeping every door open just in case one didn't lead to the fantasy she'd built in her head. And I'd been the safe one, the fallback, the placeholder. Not anymore. The next morning, I called Lindsay. "I'm in," I said. I could almost hear her smile through the phone. We met again, this time at her house. Her kids were at school, and she'd already cleared a corner of the living room for what she called the wall. It was a literal wall, pinned with printed emails, highlighted receipts, photos, social media screenshots, hotel booking confirmations, 2 calendars, hers and mine, color-coded. One corner had a sticky note that read, "He told me he was in Boston. He was with her." Another, "She said she was at yoga. These texts say otherwise." It was chaos, but organized chaos. We spent hours sorting the timeline, matching lies, tracking dates, comparing stories. It wasn't just satisfying, it was therapeutic. Around lunch, I asked her, "What exactly do you want to do with all this?" She didn't hesitate. "I want them to lose everything they lied to protect." There was a long pause before she added, "I want to scare them with the truth." And for the first time since this mess began, I wanted that too. That night, I messaged Maya. "Need a favor." We met again, and I explained what Lindsay and I were doing. I expected hesitation. Instead, Maya surprised me. "Give me 24 hours, she said. "There's something you should see." The next day, she sent me a video. It was from a weekend retreat our fiancé had gone on, or claimed was a women's wellness getaway. Maya had gone too, but bailed early. This video was from the last night. It showed a bonfire, laughter, drinks, and then, clear as day, my fiancé sitting on Nathan's lap, kissing him, in front of half a dozen co-workers. Maya had filmed it just in case. She never showed anyone, but now the seal was broken. We didn't post it online, we didn't leak it. We sent it, anonymously, to Nathan's boss, and to HR, and just for good measure to his wife's family group chat. That's when things really unraveled. Lindsay called me 48 hours later. "He's out of the house," she said. Apparently, Nathan came home to find his parents and sister waiting. Lindsay had printed out the wall. Let them read every word, every message, every betrayal. They sided with her. Nathan was staying at a hotel now. The irony not lost on anyone. And my ex? Well, she called me. Finally, blocked number, middle of the night. "Can we talk?" I didn't say anything. "I know you're mad. I made a mistake." I stayed silent. "I love you. I do." I was confused and click. I didn't need to hear the rest. Some people confuse consequences with punishment, but they're not the same. This wasn't revenge anymore. This was accountability. I didn't ruin her life. She did. It started with whispers. Then came the phone calls. And within a week, the office knew. Nathan didn't just lose his promotion. He lost the entire division's trust. Apparently, HR didn't take kindly to executives who blurred lines with subordinates during wellness retreats paid for by the company. I got the inside scoop from Lindsay, who had a friend in the building. Word spread like wildfire. People started avoiding him in meetings. One guy even joked during a Zoom call, "Is this a business strategy or a dating seminar?" Nathan was put on indefinite leave, pending investigation. Translation, he was done. As for her, my ex-fiancé tried to lie low. But in a small city, secrets don't stay buried. Maya's silent exit from the company started raising eyebrows. A few people asked questions. Maya didn't answer, but she didn't deny either. Eventually, the story started stitching itself together. The kicker? I didn't have to say a word. My silence was louder than anything I could have posted on Instagram, but that didn't stop her from trying. She reached out again, this time from her friend's number. Probably figured I blocked her, which I had. Her message was surreal. "I know I messed up. But maybe this was a wake-up call for both of us. Maybe we weren't right for each other in the end. Can we at least be civil?" I stared at that word. Civil. It echoed in my mind like a bad joke. She wasn't asking for civility. She was asking for permission to rewrite the story, to paint herself as misguided, confused, maybe even forgiven. Number not, this time. I left the message unread. Instead, I went for a walk. It was cold, the kind of cold that wakes you up better than coffee ever could. And for the first time in weeks, my chest didn't feel like a war zone. I wasn't okay. But I was getting there. Later that night, I met Lindsay at a bar, one that neither of us had ever been to before. Neutral ground. She brought a small box, no label, just slid it across the table. "What's this?" I asked. She smirked. "Closure." Inside were a pair of cufflinks, Nathan's, custom-made, monogrammed. She found them in her sock drawer. He left them when he thought he'd be moving in permanently. I laughed for the first time in days. We didn't talk much that night. Just drank. Listened to the live band. Two strangers, stitched together by betrayal, sharing a peace offering that smelled like whiskey and relief. Before we parted ways, Lindsay said something I'll never forget. Sometimes the worst thing they do ends up being the best thing that happens to us. She was right, because even though everything burned, I was finally free to rebuild from the ashes. The weirdest part about betrayal isn't the rage. It's the silence that comes after. No more calls. No more half apologies. No more waking up wondering if she'll text. There was just me. At first, it felt empty, like someone had hit pause on my life and walked away with the remote. But then something strange happened. I started breathing easier. Not because I was healed. I wasn't. But because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't waiting on someone else to decide if I was worth it. That weekend, I drove 2 hours out of the city to visit my brother, Dave. He lives in a small town, the kind of place where people leave their doors unlocked and still wave to strangers. I told him everything, the whole story. He didn't interrupt, didn't offer fake wisdom. Just cracked open 2 beers and handed me one. "You want to stay for a while?" he asked. And I did. His spare room wasn't fancy. Twin bed, faded posters from his college days, and a nightstand that wobbled. But it was mine for now, and that meant something. The next few weeks were slow. Healing always is. I started helping out at Dave's shop, a small hardware store that smelled like sawdust and old memories. Nothing special. But it felt good to do something again. To fix things. Even if they were just leaky pipes and squeaky hinges. It was there, one Tuesday afternoon, that I met her. Not her. Not Maya. But someone new. Her name was Tessa, mid-30s. No ring, no drama. Just a customer looking for a power drill and confused by the 15 different models on the shelf. "I just need one that doesn't explode when I use it," she joked. I smiled. That's a good place to start. We didn't exchange numbers, no flirting, just laughter, lightness. And that was enough. Later that night, Dave asked me if I'd seen Maya's latest post. I hadn't. But curiosity is a strange thing. So I looked. A black and white photo. Just her, looking off into the distance. The caption? "Sometimes love just isn't enough, but growth is." It had thousands of likes. People commented things like, "You're so strong," and "Proud of you for being honest." I wanted to be angry. But all I felt was pity. Because the truth? That post wasn't about healing. It was a performance. She wasn't healing. She was curating. And for the first time, I didn't feel the need to correct the record. Let people think what they want. I knew my truth. Maya didn't break me. She exposed what was already broken and gave me the chance to rebuild. 3 weeks. That's how long it took before the first domino tipped over. It was a Friday afternoon. I was sweeping up sawdust at Dave's shop when my phone buzzed. Unknown number, text message. "Hey, this is Nathan. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but can we talk?" I stared at the screen. Not because I was surprised. I wasn't. People like Nathan always circle back. But what caught me off guard was why now? I didn't answer. An hour later, another text. "It's not about Maya. It's about what she's been saying, and you deserve to know." That one hit different. I sat with it all weekend. No response, no curiosity, just stillness. Until Sunday. That's when Tessa came back into the shop. Different vibe this time. Less confused customer, more confident stride. She smiled like we were old friends. "I bought the wrong drill," she said, holding up the box like a trophy. "Turns out I do need one that might explode." I laughed. She laughed. And just like that, we were back in sync. We talked for almost an hour. About nothing, about everything. Life, loss, rebuilding, power tools. She told me she'd been married once. Briefly. Didn't end in fireworks, just silence, she said. I told her about Maya. Not the ugly details. Just enough to show her I'd survived something sharp. Before she left, she said something that stuck. Sometimes it's not about fixing things. It's about realizing what's worth keeping. That night, I texted Nathan back. Not because I needed closure, but because I was done hiding from what was mine to understand. He replied immediately. We met at a dingy diner on the edge of town. Neutral ground, middle of nowhere, perfect. Nathan looked rough, like someone who hadn't slept in a while, or maybe someone who was finally seeing himself clearly. I messed up, he started, but so did she. He didn't try to defend what happened. No justifications, just facts. Apparently, after I left, things between them got weird. Maya became obsessed with controlling the narrative, painting herself as the brave woman who followed her heart, and me as the cold, distant boyfriend who pushed her away. She's telling people you were emotionally abusive, Nathan said quietly, not meeting my eyes. I didn't react, because rage wasn't part of me anymore. Why are you telling me this? I asked. He sighed. Because I think I'm the next version of you, and I'm not built for that. He showed me texts, screenshots, voice notes, proof that Maya had started twisting things, not just for her audience, but in her own mind. She needs to be the victim, he said, even if she has to burn everyone around her to do it. I left the diner feeling nothing. Not revenge, not satisfaction, just freedom. She could say what she wanted. I was living my truth now. The next day, I unfollowed her on every platform, blocked her number, deleted the old photos. Not out of hate, but because I didn't need reminders of a life I no longer belonged to. That night, I went to Tessa's place. She made pasta, we sat on the floor, drank cheap wine from mugs because all her real glasses were still in boxes. We talked about dogs, about road trips, about how weird it is to sleep alone again after years of sharing a bed. And somewhere between her laugh and my third glass of wine, I realized something. I wasn't broken anymore, not healed, not fixed, but finally free enough to start again. I didn't know healing could be so quiet. There were no big announcements, no "I've moved on" posts, no symbolic bonfire where I burned all of Maya's old letters or tossed her necklace into a river. Real life doesn't work that way. Healing looks like remembering how to breathe before your coffee gets cold. It's paying bills on time, folding laundry. It's sitting in silence and realizing it doesn't feel like a punishment anymore. That week, something strange started happening. People started noticing me. Not in a romantic way. Not like the recently single guy at a bar. I mean people at work, neighbors, baristas at the cafe near Dave's shop. They started talking to me like I was present. Like I wasn't haunted by something anymore. And maybe I wasn't. The quiet had started to feel like mine. I saw Maya's mother at the grocery store. We locked eyes briefly. She gave me that look, the one people give you when they know too much but say nothing. I nodded politely. She gave me a tight smile and turned away. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even curious anymore. The version of me who would have obsessed over what she told Maya about me. He wasn't in charge anymore. That night, I made dinner for myself for the first time in months. Real food, not something frozen or picked up on the way home. I cooked pasta, burned the garlic bread, ate on the couch, watched a documentary I didn't understand, laughed at how bad I was at adulting solo, but it felt like mine. Tessa texted around 9 p.m. Want to help me pick a couch? I have no taste and you clearly like sitting. We spent an hour sending each other screenshots. Ugly couches. Fancy couches. One that looked like it belonged in a Bond villain's lair. She ended up ordering the first one we saw. Said it felt the most like her. Sometimes that's enough. The next morning, I was walking out of the shop when Dave stopped me. You look different, he said, squinting. Less ghost, more human. I laughed. Thanks. He nodded. Pain changes a man, but you're letting it grow you, not rot you. That's rare. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just smiled. And later that day, while organizing the tool aisle, I realized he was right. The grief was still there, tucked in the corners of quiet moments, but it wasn't driving the bus anymore. I didn't check Maya's social media anymore. Didn't wonder if she missed me. didn't flinch when I heard her name. And when Nathan texted again, this time to say he'd left her and was figuring things out, I didn't even reply. Because that chapter was done. Not ripped out. Not forgotten. Just finished. Tessa invited me to her friend's birthday dinner the following weekend. I almost said no. The idea of being the plus one again felt weird. But something about her smile when she asked made me say yes. We arrived late. The table was full of strangers, all warm, loud, laughing. No one asked if we were together. No one tried to matchmake. We were just two humans enjoying good food and bad wine and slightly too loud music. At some point, Tessa leaned in and whispered, "You look happy." And for the first time in a long time, I believed it. It was a Saturday afternoon when she showed up. No warning, no text, just there. I heard the knock while folding laundry. Opened the door expecting a delivery guy or Dave asking for help with his truck. Instead, it was Maya, standing in jeans and a sweater I hadn't seen before, hair shorter, less polished. Her eyes searched my face like she was looking for a familiar landmark. I didn't say anything at first. She broke the silence. "Can we talk?" I didn't answer right away. Just stepped aside and let her in. Not because I was being polite, but because I didn't feel threatened anymore. She walked slowly, like every step felt uncertain. Sat on the edge of the couch, barely touching the cushion. I stayed standing. "So," she started, "I'm not here to beg or explain, I just needed to say a few things." I nodded. Let her speak. She said Nathan had ended things a few weeks ago, that it was messy, unsurprisingly, that he'd said she was too much for him, that he made promises he never planned to keep. She admitted she'd been spiraling. Therapy hadn't helped much. Not yet. Her parents had tried to intervene, but she pushed them away. Then she looked up at me. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said. "I know I broke something in you. In us. That can't be unbroken, but I realized something." I raised an eyebrow. She took a breath. "You were the safest place I ever knew, and I treated you like a backup plan, like you'd always be there if everything else fell apart. But I see now, I never really deserved that safety." Her voice cracked. She wiped her eyes. I didn't cry. I didn't feel rage. Not anymore. Instead, I felt clear. I sat across from her. Calm. Measured. "I loved you," I said. "More than anything. I wanted a life with you. But love isn't enough when there's no respect. You didn't just cheat on me. You involved people I trusted, lied to my face, made me feel like a stranger in my own story." She looked down. "I know. I'm not angry anymore," I continued, "but I'm not yours anymore either." She looked like she wanted to protest, but didn't. I stood up. "I wish you well, Maya. I really do. But you're healing. That's your road to walk. Alone." She nodded, slowly. Then stood. I had to say it out loud. What I did. What I lost. We stood in silence. "I lost something too," I said softly. "But I found something else in the rubble. Me." I walked her to the door. She hesitated, then stepped out. As she turned to go, I called out gently, "Next time you find a safe place, don't burn it down." She paused, then walked away. And I closed the door behind her, feeling lighter than I had in months. 3 months after I closed that journal for good, I received a letter. Not an email, not a text, a real letter. Handwritten, folded neatly into an envelope with no return address. At first, I thought it might be junk mail or something from the building management. But the handwriting, it was familiar. I opened it, slowly. Inside, a single page. "I don't know if this makes a difference anymore. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness or to change anything. I just wanted you to know the truth." My heart paused. It was from Evan, the man I once called my girlfriend's boss, her secret, her mistake, and the quiet storm that wrecked us both. She told me it was over, that you were just roommates. She said it with so much conviction I believed her. Maybe I wanted to. Maybe I didn't want to admit I was the other man. But I found out. about you, about what she was still saying to you while she was with me. I broke it off. Months ago. You deserve to know that she lied to both of us. I don't expect anything from this. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. For my part. For not asking more questions. For helping hurt a stranger I'd never met. No signature, just E. I sat there for a while, letter in one hand, coffee in the other. It didn't change anything. It didn't make the hurt go away. But somehow, it softened the edge of the story. Not because he deserved absolution, but because sometimes the weight of betrayal spreads like smoke, and it's hard to tell who lit the match and who just stood too close. I folded the letter. Put it in the back of the journal Maya once gave me. Not for nostalgia. Just so, someday, when I'm telling this story, to someone who's been left behind too, I can show them that the truth always finds a way to surface, even when it arrives late, even when it arrives from a man you never thought you'd hear from. Because that's the strange, messy poetry of life. It doesn't always give you justice, but sometimes, if you're quiet long enough, it does give you clarity.